Capture pals or humans and put them to work, whether it's at your base to ride around with or attack other pals. It's more than Pokemon with guns. This is a game that doesn't hide the fact that it's taking things, or at the very least heavily inspired from other popular games. Throw it into a blender and that's what Palworld is, but there's surprisingly a lot of depth to the game. Since its release, I've been playing this game at every opportunity I have, and currently I've logged in 90 hours on this game thus far, whether it was in my own world, helping others, or on a dedicated server with friends and community. This video won't be about the controversy surrounding this game, as I don't know enough to speak on it, but what I do know is the game is fun, and obviously to many other people, especially those on PC, as the market is underserved. They sold over 8 million copies in less than a week and reached over 2 million concurrent players on Steam alone. I'm sure the numbers of sales will continue to climb. If Nintendo feels or has enough reason to take this to court, they will handle it. It's not my job as a consumer to do it for them. The game has been an absolute blast and it's hard to drop down with its addicting gameplay loop. We all know early access games generally have a bad reputation for overall performance among a myriad of other issues, but Palworld is surprisingly not one of them, at least not to me and those around me who also play this game. I will speak only for myself here, but during my 90 hours, not once did this game crash on me outside of the server crashing. Bugs are to be expected with early access game, but thankfully I haven't run into anything that's game breaking. Some T-posing here and there, pals or enemies getting sucked in the environment, and not being able to switch or dismount off my pals to name a few. But usually either returning to the title or relaunching the game would solve it for me. Visually the game looks decent, it's nothing groundbreaking at all with its stylized visuals similar to Breath of the Wild, however beefed up since it is running on Unreal Engine 5. I personally don't have a problem with this and think the game looks great with the exception of the volcano area where it can be a bit of an eyesore in the dungeons visually with how bright the lava is.
Oh my god! What is that?
This is a minor complaint of mine that can be easily adjusted in a patch. This game is definitely a perfect blend of multiple things I think is attributed to its success. For one, it shows that there is a demand for this type of game which has been underserved on the PC side of things, as Nintendo's Pokemon is exclusive there and available on no other platform. The closest thing to Pokemon like was Temtem, which I haven't played nor have interest in, so I can't speak on it further. Another aspect that applies to me, but perhaps not to everyone else, is the Pokemon formula hasn't really innovated outside of Arceus. The last Pokemon game I put serious time into was Pokemon Ruby Sapphire. It's gotten stale, at least to me. Game Freak keeps pushing out the same stuff, yet people continue to buy it, much like that of Call of Duty. You can sell a bunch of copies for a game, but it doesn't mean it's good in terms of quality. Plus, the new generation of Pokemon doesn't do it for me. Much like my video on Wild Hearts, I wanted competition instead of just one dominating a genre. Despite the game being mostly different than Pokemon at its core, it does seem like Nintendo may have competition for once with the success of Palworld. The visual art style and design of pals in this game appeals to all ages, whether it's your kid, niece, or whomever. Some pals are pretty cute while others look pretty cool. It's a game you can experience alone and still have fun or play with others with up to 4 in a group or 32 in a server together. Then there are those like me who grew up watching Pokemon but also love and enjoy playing third or first person shooters as well. Part of it, at least to me, was part of the appeal in combination with other things I mentioned prior. The build crafting isn't something I'm personally big on, but I don't mind it. I know there's a large community of people who do like and enjoy those sorts of games, but I was never big on that genre. Nothing wrong with it if that's something that you enjoy. I personally played somewhat similar games to it in the past, like Animal Crossing during the pandemic or Minecraft with my little brother when he was younger, and more so recently the closest thing would be Sons of the Forest with my friends, but never Ark. I'm aware of the game and I feel like it closely resembles that than the prior games mentioned, but for the sake of letting you know my experiences. Anyways, with certain pals you capture, you can either use them as a weapon or use them as a mount to traverse the world. Another is the fact that this game is only $30 if you choose to buy it now on Steam while it's in early access before the full release, which will likely cost more. Plus the fact it dropped day one and currently on Microsoft's Game Pass for both Xbox and PC, with crossplay to be coming later to this game, but no word as of yet as to when that will be. Another factor to me of what I love about the game is the sense of discovery and exploration. Different biomes to explore, from the forest to the desert to the tundra and the volcano. Chests can be found scattered throughout the map, and lift monk effigies that help you increase your capture rate percentage to collect. There are virtually no markers on the map for you to run to discover other than if you're near a fast travel point. The map in this game is freaking huge, and for the most part where you see is where you can go, with the exception of what I call the tree, the giant tree you'll notice on the map. I've already tried to make my way there, so you don't have to. I wanted to see what was possibly there, if anything. All I found was a whole lot of disappointment, as I ran into an invisible wall where I couldn't go any further, for those curious. There are a big variety of pals you can capture, from alphas, which is supposed to be bigger and stronger version, and also variants, to shiny versions of them too, which makes a very distinct shimmering or sparkling type sound. Trust me, if you hear it, you know it. The way progression works on this game is by leveling up your base, completing tasks which can be found at the top right hand corner of your screen. However, you can completely ignore that and do what you want. Run out and explore if you want. Choose your own adventure. I found the best way to level up is to complete those tasks, capture unique pals, capture 10 of each kind, fight tower bosses or bosses in the open field that will net you the most XP in order to level up. As you level up, each time you get one stat point which you can then use to increase your health, stamina, attack, work speed, or carrying capacity. I quickly learned to dump most of my points earlier on into either stamina or weight. You also get technology points you can use to then purchase different items to then craft that varies, which can further build and upgrade your base, armor to help deal with the elements, weapons, and saddles to help with survivability as you navigate through the world. Technology points too you get from finding the different fast travel spots, defeating tower bosses. Your pals outside of the moves they have to attack with come with different passive abilities and abilities that they have which may help around with camp, like mining, transporting, kindling, etc. These passive abilities can either positively or negatively affect things around your base. You can either combine the multiple of the same pals to make stronger versions of them, to breed different ones for a chance to get even more rare pals outside of all the base building stuff. The combat in this game is really fun. Like Ark or other survival type games, you start out with next to nothing as you work your way up through gathering, harvesting for resources, and mining. Bare knuckles, hit your pals with your bat, use a bow or other pals you capture to do the job. Kill them or capture them is entirely up to you. Instead of mounting and using your dinosaurs like you would in Ark to attack with you, you can do the same with your pals in Palworld. Certain pals can be a mount when you craft the appropriate harness, or do damage with pals like Liftmonk or Tansy as a gun on your head, Moss Panda as a rocket launcher, or Nightwing or Van Worm to fly. You can even capture the NPCs you see in the world to have back at your base, such as merchants, so you can buy or sell things whenever you'd like. Also, with the multiplayer aspect in this game, building a base together, exploring, fighting the tower bosses or dungeon bosses together, there is strength in numbers versus venturing alone when trying to take down that level 38 Mammorest at the beginning, like the Tree Sentinel in Elden Ring. Later to return when you're stronger and more experienced. Nothing like logging to the server to see all your pals have either had a bad case of depression, an ulcer, or incapacitated that we had to move to a better location. However, after putting this much time into the game, there are certainly things I would like to see this game improve on, as well as leave yours below in the comment section of what you would like to see. I noticed that if you're playing with others, unless you're in the same vicinity as them, if they or you were to go down, meaning you can still get revived, you don't show up on the map. There's no way to know where they are unless you know where it is that they're talking about. We had this happen a few times while playing as a group. It's not until after, if they die, where you can see the beacon in the sky. So if something like this similar appears while a player is down would be helpful, or waypoints of sorts. Speaking of that, I wish we had the ability to toggle on or off waypoints, whether there's other players placing one down or our own. It sucks you don't see them until you're much closer. A mini map is another feature I think that would be welcome for many in general, but I want one more specifically for dungeons. I know the dungeons often have the same layout and there's very few variations from what I've seen, but I often find myself getting lost in them because they look all the same. Something like Diablo, where it uncovers as you go through the dungeon, letting you know whether or not if you've been to that area before. It's not a problem if you're playing this game by yourself, whether it's placing an egg in an incubator to hatch, but it is when you're playing with others, regardless of how small or big the group is. In our case, it was more than 5+ people. If there could be an indicator of who places the egg or who it belongs to so it doesn't get mixed up would be nice. Sure, we could use the sign, but it can get crowded in my opinion. Another is definitely better AI for some of the bigger pals or pals in general when they are at camp. They tend to get stuck in their environment somehow or have trouble not navigating it, resulting in them starving because they're unable to get to food or complete their tasks if you don't notice right away. Pathing for this game is good, but it can definitely be better when it comes to building or connecting stairs and ramps, whether it's for you or your pals to use. I would like there to be a ladder added in to the technology too, to be used for buildings or the environment. While I do bring up these complaints, there are some things that they're already working on addressing. The team expressed prioritizing fixing the critical issues like loading screen, key configurations, and improvement to the base PAL AI and pathing. In addition, here's the content roadmap. They have plans to bring PvP, and I'm curious what that's going to look like, but I'll doubt it'll be anything like Rust where you can raid other bases on a server. I'm sad this game didn't have crossplay at the early access launch, but hopefully we won't have to wait too long before this is implemented into the game. But I much rather them iron out a lot of the other issues first before throwing it on top of all the other ongoing issues. The new islands, pals, bosses, and technologies is certainly welcome, as I think it just further adds to the longevity of the game. In conclusion, Palworld has been an immersive and addictive experience for me, easily boasting over 90 hours of gameplay. I believe if the developers continue to support the game with fixes and improvements, as well as deliver on the things they've said or planned, this is a game I can see people will continue to play and come back to. Its success can be attributed to its diverse appeal, catering to fans of Pokemon-like games, shooters, and base building enthusiasts alike. Despite minor bugs and T-posing incidents, the game's performance has been surprisingly stable, especially for an early access title. Palworld's $30 price tag during early access and the inclusion in Microsoft's Game Pass makes it accessible to a much wider audience. While I've highlighted a few improvements I like to see, such as better AI and enhanced map features, the developers are already working on addressing critical issues and have exciting plans for future content. As I continue to explore the vast world of Palworld, I look forward to witnessing its growth and evolution through its development, ensuring there's plenty of content for players to sink their time into exploring, building their bases, and capturing those pals. Now, if you made it here, let me know what is your favorite pal you've captured so far. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out the content. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care.